give you the sun, the rain, the moon.
DJ, please pick up your phone. I'm on the request line.
Hey DJ, keep playing that song all night.
Remember, it ain't over till it's really over.
Every time I hear your voice and I look into your heart,
And I swear by the
Let's get it on tonight.
one time with the
flow.
We gotta talk about those iconic curly-haired queens who straight up owned the 90s R&B game. With their perfect mix of R&B, jazz, and hip-hop, they served up tracks that still got us vibin'. First up, that debut anthem, Hey Mr. DJ, baby, that song wasn't just a hit, it was a whole vibe. It slid right into number 6 on the Billboard.
Hey DJ, keep playing that song all night.
So, even though they came through with that epic debut, Zhané only dropped 2 albums before ghosting the music scene. So, what's the real tea on these 90s legends? Even after 25 years, their jams still keep the party jumpin'. Let's rewind and see what's been going on with Zhané since they dipped out. Renee Neufeld and Norris linked up at Temple University in the early 90s, where they were not just roommates, but musical soulmates too. Jean, who was singing in her daddy's church choir back in Jersey, and Brooklyn's own Renee, the baby of 3 with that Caribbean flavor, quickly knew they were meant to make magic together. They hit up every talent show and event they could, making extra cash and showing off them killer vibes.
From the West Indies. Renee, please tell us where you're from, your family comes from, where you represent.
Jamaica.
So DJ Jazzy Jeff, fresh off the success of Will Smith's Home Base album, caught wind of these two and had to meet them. He signed them to his crew, A Touch of Jazz, and they even got to be on Will Smith's track, Ring My Bell. But hold up, plot twist. They weren't even in the music video. Despite that, it wasn't until Benny Medina, the former Warner Brothers exec, suggested they team up for real that they finally made it official. Renee had this brilliant idea to flip their names, using the French pronunciation of Jean and Renee to create Zhané. They tossed in a Z for some extra pop, and just like that, Zayn was born. When it came to their look, Renee took charge, standing at 5 feet 9 inches while Jean was 5 feet 2 inches, with their contrasting skin tones, one dark, one light. They had that visual contrast that you couldn't ignore. To keep it tight, Renee rocked finger waves and Jean kept it fresh with a buzz cut. Before they even dropped their debut album, they got a lucky break. After meeting Naughty by Nature's KG, he was so hyped by their vibe, he pushed them straight into the studio. They ended up on the Roll with the Flava compilation, produced by Queen Latifah herself. Even with all the heavy hitters on that album, their track Hey Mr. DJ still blew up, thanks to Renee's late-night bedroom floor inspiration, that fire Michael Wyckoff sample, and a rap from Fam that was straight fire.
Hey DJ, keep playing that song all night.
Their success had them on a mad dash to finish the album, shoot the video, and lock down a record deal. By 1994, they signed with Motown Records, and their debut album Zhané dropped with bangers like Groove Thang and Sending My Love. That album went gold, and a couple of years later, it even hit platinum. Renee's songwriting was a straight-up game changer for Zhané. She wrote every single track, pulling inspiration from her 70s and 80s icons like Patrice Rushen and Atlantic Starr. To keep the heat coming, Zhané jumped on features for big names like De La Soul and Busta Rhymes. And they even made a major cameo in the Notorious B.I.G.'s One More Chance video. Talk about making moves. Their music was everywhere, showing up on compilations and soundtracks, like their track Shame from the 1994 comedy A Low Down Dirty Shame, which landed them another top 40 hit. But when they dropped their follow-up album Saturday Night in 1997, they decided to switch things up and get more soulful and jazzy. They were trying to show the world they weren't just about the party anthems. Even with hits like Request Line and Crush, that album didn't quite hit the heights of their debut. By 1999, Zhané called it quits, with John heading out solo to get that creative freedom. Even though Saturday Night didn't quite hit the jackpot, they still went out with a bang, landing on Naughty by Nature's top 10 hit jamboree. They weren't done yet, honey.
DJ, please pick up your phone. I'm on the request line.
Even after Zhané split, music stayed at the heart of Jean and Renee's lives. Norris, now Jean Baylor, tied the knot with jazz musician Marcus Baylor in 2000. Yep, he's the drummer for the jazz fusion band Yellow Jackets. After taking a little break, Jean came back strong, releasing a soulful R&B album and a contemporary Christmas album between 2007 and 2011. But hold up, in 2017, Jean and Marcus teamed up to form an R&B jazz duo called the Baylor Project. Their debut album was so fierce, It earned them 2 Grammy nominations for Best Jazz Vocal Album and Best Traditional R&B Performance. Meanwhile, Renee was busy hosting a live web series called 88 Soul, bringing in big names like Jill Scott and Joe. She worked with legends like India, Ari, and Aaliyah, and even dipped into jazz with Roy Hargrove's RH Factor, which played a huge role in her 2015 solo album Watching Me. Her latest drop, Something to Believe, is a heartfelt tribute to Hargrove, who passed away in 2018. But here's the tea. Zhané's story is far from unique in the R&B world. So many talented groups with dope tracks couldn't keep the buzz going. Think about groups like 112, After 7, and All For One. They had the hits, the talent, but after that initial splash, they kind of faded. Whether it was label drama, shifting music trends, or just getting overshadowed by bigger names, so many groups never got the shine they truly deserved. It's like they got that one shot, and just like that, they quietly disappeared, even with loyal fans still holding on. R&B has a whole history of these almost moments, where we can't help but wonder, what if they had gotten that extra push? It all went down in high school when Darren Jones, Michael Keith, and Reginald Finley started vibing together under the name Fort. But something was missing, you know? That missing piece came through when they met Alden Ligon, whose deep, thundering bass voice completed the squad. They also linked up with Marvin Slim Scandrick, who was already slaying the school chorus with smooth high notes. Fort's raw talent caught the eye of hit-making duo Tim and Bob, who took them from casual living room jams to serious studio time. Things really popped off when they auditioned at Atlanta's Club 112 and, wait for it, Puff Daddy, yep, Diddy himself, saw their potential and signed them to Bad Boy Records. Rebranded as 112, they were suddenly in NYC, laying down tracks for their debut album. When 112 dropped in 1996, it was a whole vibe, blending smooth R&B with that hip-hop swagger. But they didn't stop there. They hit a whole new level when they teamed up with Faith Evans on Puff Daddy's I'll Be Missing You, which not only snatched a Grammy but also hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 straight out the gate. They kept the fire going with albums like Room 112 and Part 3, loaded with bangers like Cupid, Anywhere, and Peaches and Cream, all while rubbing elbows with legends like Biggie, Mace, and of course Puff. Even with some bumps along the way, 112's signature sound still hits deep for any true R&B fan.
I'll give you the sun, the rain, the moon.
After 7 came together back in 1987, when brothers Melvin and Kevin Edmonds linked up with their college buddy Keith Mitchell. Oh, and just for some tea, Melvin and Kevin are the older brothers of none other than the legendary Kenneth Babyface Edmonds. Talk about talent running in the family. The trio first connected when Kevin met Keith at Indiana University Bloomington in the late 70s, where they were both flexing their musical chops in the Indiana University Soul Review. What started as a casual hobby turned into something major once Melvin joined in. Their big break came in 1989 with their self-titled debut album, packed with tracks written and produced mostly by Babyface and L.A. Reid. That album went platinum, giving us hits like Heat of the Moment, Ready or Not, and Can't Stop. Those last two didn't just top the R&B charts, they also cracked the top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100. In 1992, they dropped Taken My Time, which went platinum too, and featured smooth jams like Baby, I'm For Real, and Natural High. Their 1995 album Reflections went gold and gave us the R&B classic Till You Do Me Right. After calling it quits in 1997, the group made a major comeback years later, with Melvin's son Jason stepping in for his dad. Melvin rejoined the squad in 2016 for their comeback album Timeless, and the hits kept coming with tracks like Runnin' Out, I Want You, and Let Me Know. Sadly, Melvin passed away in 2019, but his legacy, strong. After 7's smooth vocals and timeless jams still hit us right in the feels, proving that their music just can't stop touching hearts.
And I swear by the
All For One, the R&B quartet that stole hearts, first linked up in 1987. It all went down when Alfred Navarez and Tony Barosia became fast friends in high school out in Antelope Valley, California. They met Jamie Jones at a recording studio, and the trio quickly realized they were missing one thing: a fourth voice to round them out. Enter Delius Kennedy, who was discovered singing his heart out at a karaoke contest. And just like that, All For One was born. Fast forward to 1993, and they dropped their self-titled debut album, but it was their second single, a cover of John Michael Montgomery's I Swear, that changed the game. That track was everywhere, holding down the #1 spot in the US for almost 3 months and topping charts across the globe. It was a multi-platinum hit that let their buttery smooth harmonies shine. But let's not forget, I Swear wasn't their only hit. They also gave us So Much in Love, a feel-good remake that had everyone swooning. I Can Love You Like That, a sweet ballad that instantly became a fan fave. Their music was all about love, emotion, and those killer vocals, earning them comparisons to Boyz II Men. Even with some ups and downs thanks to label drama, All For One's legacy still shines, reminding us that soulful harmonies are forever. So, stay tuned, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more of these juicy updates.